You're listening to Unlocked, Your Career by Design with Samantha Flores, Fortune 100 executive, billion-dollar business leader, and founder of Powerhouse Code. Here, you'll discover how to build authority, attract opportunities, and lead with authentic presence. If you're ready to claim your spotlight and step into your next level, you're in the right place. Let's unlock your career by design. What if your career isn't stalled because of a lack of talent, but because of a set of unwritten rules or invisible barriers no one ever told you about? Are you smart, capable, and driven, yet somehow overlooked or feel stuck in your life and career, while others, sometimes less qualified, advance? Or do you sometimes feel like you're missing something, despite your hard work and glowing performance reviews? Like you're missing a piece of the puzzle or an ingredient of the recipe? I have lived that story, and I created this podcast to make sure that you don't have to. My name is Samantha Flores, and I'm currently a Fortune 100 executive and founder of Powerhouse Code. My own journey was one where I graduated from university with this conditioning that the harder the work, the higher your grades. And the higher your grades, the faster you progress, because that's how our school system is designed. When you work hard, you get a high grade. And when you get a high grade, you progress to the next level or the next class. Now, so many of us, including myself, go into the workplace, we start our careers with that conditioning of almost 18 years of education, thinking that it worked at elementary school, it worked in high school, it worked at university or college. Therefore, I am pretty sure that when I enter the workforce, it works the same way. Hard work equals success. So the first 10 years of my career, that was me. Working harder, having the highest performance review, being the backbone of the department, the person that everyone came to for all the problems. And I wore that as a badge of honor because in my mind, to me, that was success. So being the best, getting the best performance review, being the person that everybody leans on. But then I hit a ceiling in my career. A ceiling where it didn't matter how hard I worked, or it didn't matter how many glowing performance reviews I had. I just wasn't progressing. And what it does is, or what it did, I started to doubt myself. My confidence started dwindling, and I actually started questioning my abilities. Was I actually good enough? Or was I missing something? And this was around 10 years into my career where I was very successful getting to that point where I was at a time a middle manager. And then I just felt like I hit a brick wall. Like no matter what I did, I pulled out all the tricks of my bag. Didn't matter. Work harder. Didn't work. Volunteer for all the high profile projects. Didn't work. Rely on my manager. Didn't work. So I felt like I was missing something. At the same time, like I said before, my confidence started to dwindling. Self-doubt came up. I started questioning my abilities, and it really did something to my motivation and self-worth because I honestly thought there was something wrong with me. Now, at a time, that's usually not something you talk about. Definitely another culture that I am from. I'm from the Caribbean, by the way. And in my culture, you just work hard and everything will follow. And so I was struggling with this all by myself, and I didn't really talk to anyone about it. And I thought I was the only one experiencing this problem because why was everyone around me progressing? Why was everyone around me getting opportunities, getting promoted, new jobs? And I was the only one at the time, I thought, that was stuck and not progressing. Fast forward almost 10 years later, and I notice now that it's a phenomenon that many women actually experience. Because as I started progressing in my career, many women come up to me and say, how did you do it? What is the missing factor? Tell me what I'm not seeing. Tell me what I'm not getting right. I just want somebody to tell me what I need to do. So guess what this podcast is about? It's about those unwritten rules and those invisible barriers nobody talks about. But basically, what I want to say is if you are someone who is struggling or you're feeling stuck or you're doing everything right, but you're not progressing or not getting where you want to be, you are not alone. It will surprise you how many people, especially women, feel the same way. And so during my struggle in the first 10 years of my career, I realized that performance does not equal advancement. So it's not the same as school. And that's when I saw the gap, not in the effort that professionals put in their work, but in access to the rules that shape extraordinary careers. And that's the gap which is why I created Unlocked, because I really want to decode what really moves the needle for ambitious professionals to have extraordinary careers. And what is an extraordinary career? It's a career that feels aligned to you, a career that you feel you can be your authentic self, and most important of all, a career where you feel that you can make an impact and that you also continue to develop and grow. Because at the end of the day, we spend more of our time at the office than we do with our family. So that's why this podcast exists, because I want to show you what's possible and that there is a way to have an extraordinary career. And I introduced the problem. I introduced those unwritten rules and those invisible barriers that are not really talked about. And of course, there are these external systemic biases and barriers. I'm not going to go into that on this podcast. There are many amazing people and organizations and government, actually, politicians working on those systemic barriers. I am going into the barriers and unwritten rules that you have control over. So I'm talking mindset shifts. I'm talking tools and frameworks you can implement. And so it's going to be a lot on the internal work and things that you can control. And I'm pausing here because of all the women and professionals I speak to, I hear so many times, my manager doesn't support me. There are no open roles. We are in the middle of a reorganization. My colleagues are getting promoted. And so a lot of the, I don't want to say blame, but a lot of the stuckness is attributed to external factors. And I want you to think about, how do you feel when you think about your career and progression and learning and development and growing, being dependent on external factors, being dependent on a manager that supports you or not, being dependent on whether there is an open role, yes or no, being dependent on if there's an open position because somebody above you needs to move first. Doesn't that make you feel like you don't have control over your own career? And so in this podcast, I'm going to show you how you can have control over your career once you start shifting your focus to those external factors and turning it back to you. Because there is so much you can do. There is so much influence that you have in your career. But the point is to shift your focus and shift your energy from those external factors and turn inwards. Control the narrative. Focus on the things that you can influence and impact, because that's when you get your power back and that's when you start directing and controlling your career again. Okay. Now, like I said before, I shared my story because I wanted you to understand that even for me, when I was going through my struggles, I felt that I am the only one that's experiencing this. Because why is everybody else getting promoted? Why is everybody else progressing? And most important of all, why is nobody complaining? It must be me. I am the problem. Hi, me, look at me, I'm the problem. That's not the case. In my community in the Powerhouse Code, you have no idea how many women I speak to that experience the exact same thing. What am I missing? I lost my confidence. I'm constantly questioning myself. My self-doubt is sky high. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. It's the exact same narratives, but we don't talk to people about it. So number one, I want you to know that it's not just you and you're not alone. Okay? And I talked about these unwritten rules and invisible barriers. And it's not about selling yourself or being the loudest in the room. It's understanding that as you progress in your career, well, actually, even when you join the workplace or the workforce, the game changes. And I keep emphasizing this because we are in an educational system that rewards that rewards hard work, and it is a meritocracy. The workplace isn't built like that because everybody that enters the workforce is highly skilled and highly talented. So the rules change. And not only that, the rules don't only change when you enter the workforce, they actually change as you progress. Every next level requires a next level version of you. So, for example, let's say you're in consulting. You enter as an analyst, requires a certain skill set. Then you progress to consultant, totally different ballgame. Then you progress to senior consultant, again, different skill set. Then you want to go progress to manager, different skill set. And the mistake I see many professionals make is that they think that their current level and how they operate at their current level and the best of their capacity and the best of their ability is going to get them to the next level. But here's the thing. The next level requires a different skill set, different competencies. And so that's part of the unlock. How do you level up in your current reality, in your current context, in your current role that positions you for the next level and the next role? Okay. So, unlocked your career by design. I am so excited for this podcast. It's going to be amazing. I am going to tell you what you can expect. You can expect the real stories from executives, powerhouse professionals, industry leaders, because I want to tell the stories that go beyond the polished resumes and the LinkedIn profiles. Why? Because I believe that we live in a society that puts so much value on all the gold stars and all the, let's say, all the wins and the accomplishments and doesn't emphasize what it takes to get there. And why do I find it important? Because I do speaking engagements, so I speak live for big groups. And what I notice is that people connect with the struggle. They connect with the rawness. They connect with, tell me about your pain. Tell me about your road to success. Tell me about what it took to get there. Why? Because it humanizes you. And when you are humanized, is that even I don't know, is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. We make it a word right now. When you humanize yourself, you become this type of role model and people start to believe that they can actually reach that. So when you're listening to this podcast, I want you to think about what are the stories that you would want to hear to humanize those role models that have amazing success, that have accomplished extraordinary careers. Would you think it's more possible for you when they share their struggles and moments that they doubted themselves? Or do you only want to hear about their glowing performance reviews and the success rate that they had? Let me know. In any case, I am going to share the raw stories behind the polished profiles and resumes. This podcast is going to be a combination of solo episodes. So I am launching on October 22nd with 5 solo episodes. After that, it will be mostly guest interviews, and it's going to be a combination of executives, powerhouse professionals, and industry leaders. Why? Because I want to give you as much variety as possible. I want you to hear from executives, what it took to get where they are, what they look for in talent today, and also, like I said, the story behind the polished LinkedIn profile. That's going to be key on this podcast. Other than that, I am going to interview industry leaders. So I talk a lot about authenticity and authentic branding. So I am going to be bringing guest experts on networking, on personal branding, how to show presence. So that is what you can expect. And then lastly, what I'm really excited about, extremely excited about, I am going to bring those powerhouse professionals, ladies that are in my community who have done Elevate You, my signature program, and they are going to share their story. What transformation looks like when you make the decision to invest in yourself. So they are going to share their before and after journey and also their breakthroughs. What is now possible for them that I didn't believe was possible for them before. So I'm really excited about that. And I have to say, disclaimer. So we're going to have approximately 70% is going to be guests. So a creation of executives, industry leaders, and powerhouse professionals, which are alumni of the Powerhouse Code community. And then approximately 20% is going to be solo episodes where I share the unwritten rules, I share the invisible barriers and specific tools and frameworks to help you unlock your career by design. And then 10% is going to be a bit of woo. So as I go through the episodes, you will get to know me better, but I am a very spiritual person and I believe there's so much more other than work and our 9 to 5. So 10%, let's say once every quarter, is that 10%? I miss spreadsheets and strategy. I will calculate it later. But approximately 10% of the episodes are going to be focused on woo topics. And I would love for you to share what are the things you want to hear about. So what I have in store already for you is how to apply human design in your career. How do you apply manifestation in your career? So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to keep it lean in the beginning because I know that professionals are very 3D. They're very rational minded. So I want to keep it light. But that's something that lights me up because I think we bring our whole selves to work and not only the rational 9 to 5. And those things I have seen even if in my community of ladies that are very rational, that are very analytics, it gives this touch of, yeah, surprise because there's so much more that we can do to unlock our talent DNA. So that's a sneak peek of what you can expect in this podcast. And at the end of the day, this podcast was created so I can pull back the curtain on what really drives advancements. And it's not only coming from me, it's coming from, like I said, the guests, from executive C-suite all the way to powerhouse professionals who invested in themselves that are in mid-career. And ultimately, what I want to achieve is that when you start listening to Unlocked, that you imagine looking back a year from now, knowing that this was the moment that you decided to lead differently. Because you can have your career by design, but it starts with a decision that you are going to do whatever it takes to unlock your unique talent DNA and bring your whole self and your best self to work every day because the world, your organization, your boss, everybody benefits when you share your strengths, your talent, and your greatness with the world. And so that's what this podcast is about. So yes, I'm going to help you unlock those unwritten rules and invisible barriers. I'm going to bring speakers on that go beyond the polished profiles and resumes and share their real raw story. And I'm also going to remind you that it benefits everyone when you are authentic and you show up in your power. So if that resonates with you, please follow Unlocked Your Career by Design on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I would appreciate it when you leave a 5-star review and share it with a colleague who deserves to be seen and have an extraordinary career. I am so excited that you're here, and I cannot wait to see you in episode 2. You have been listening to Unlocked Your Career by Design with Samantha Flores. If today's episode sparked something, here's your next step. Follow the show and leave a 5-star review. That's how we reach more ambitious women ready to break barriers. And if you know a colleague or friend who needs this, share it with them, because lifting one woman lifts us all. Until next week, keep owning your spotlights.